Good morning, everyone. Thank you for that incredibly kind introduction, Perla. I'd also like to extend my sincere gratitude to the conference chairs, the local organizing committee, and the COLAS International Board for the invitation to speak today. Hello, lovely COLAS people. Thanks to all of you as well for being here. I will begin with a timeless COLAS question. What is information science? Rest assured, there is not one, but many possible answers. My own understanding that I'll apply today comes from Marcia Bates's 1999 paper, The Invisible Substrate of Information Science. There, Bates argues that information science is not a conventional discipline or an interdiscipline, but a meta-discipline. Meta means that we operate at a conceptual level higher than other disciplines, like up in the treetops. My students don't like this idea of being higher because it suggests unequal status, but I assure them it is not a superior stance. Rather, it's a necessary distance required to discern information structures and information patterns within the surface variety of life. Each person in this room probably has their favorite information structures and information patterns. Mine are associated with people and are known as information behavior, information practice, or information experience. Your favorite information phenomena may be documents, publications, records, genres, collections, literatures, archives, websites, citations, metadata, classification schemes, and their associated information systems, information institutions, and information policies. In the same paper, Bates refers to all this stuff as the red thread of information, and she writes poetically about information scientists. We are always looking for the red thread of information in the social texture of people's lives. This statement gives my talk today the continuous red thread of information, its title and guiding metaphor. In my slides, the thread of information will be shown in red, and the social texture of people's lives, which is a context, will appear in black. For 20 years, I've been trying to understand the relationship between the two, which I consider a foremost conceptual puzzle of our field. When introducing students to information science, I demonstrate that it is like putting on magical glasses. Of course, they are red. Looking through them, information structures and patterns come into view. Gazing at you now, with Anders Hector's model of information activities in mind, I see that you are engaged in unfolding, that is, directed attention towards information to receive content. I am instructing, which is imparting information. Anyone taking notes is dressing, a kind of repackaging of information. And a few of you might be discreetly monitoring other information channels on your phone, tablet, or laptop. If information scientists are always looking for the red thread of information in the social texture of people's lives, we might next ask, what parts of people's lives have we looked at? Well, 75 years ago, we first looked at the military-industrial complex. Then we turned attention to academics, students, and different kinds of workers. Thankfully, there's been an ever-widening circle, a continuous red thread. We have explored information in everyday life, and I have personally made a case for higher things in life which are pleasurable and profound, like leisure, which I'll return to shortly. Cross-cutting concerns in all of these realms have been solving problems, challenging injustice, and integrating new technologies. My own career has been an attempt to understand the red thread of information in one particular social texture of people's lives, that is, leisure. On a personal note, this curiosity comes from my childhood. Whether reading a book or drawing diagrams of the gardens in my yard, I experienced information as a kind of play. Many of you may have felt the same way. Speaking as an academic now, let me further justify leisure as a worthy information science topic. Leisure is universally cherished. It is a creative space to form one's identity, and it is a prime site for relationship building between individuals, communities, and cultures. It is especially nourishing and restorative during difficult times, like right now. Of consequence to library and information science, leisure can sometimes be quite information rich. Hear, hear, the majority of public library visits and online forays pertain to leisure. I began an earnest empirical study of leisure information in my doctoral dissertation. It was an ethnography that asked, what's going on with information in the hobby of gourmet cooking? My fieldwork occurred in the social world of the hobby in 2 American cities. I interviewed cooks in their homes and used visual methods to photograph and diagram their information collections. The red thread of information came into focus as documents in genres like the recipe and cookbook. I modeled the information behaviors underlying the hobby over short, medium, and long time frames. I described the personal culinary libraries lovingly curated by gourmet cooks in their homes, and I reported on the aesthetic, affective, social, and sensory dimensions of culinary information. To date, most research into leisure information, including my own, have been idiographic case studies. Idiographic means pertaining to or descriptive of single and unique facts and processes. Our literature now contains dozens of richly detailed idiographic reports of leisure information. Here, at the start of COLUS, where we are engaged in theoretical reflection and conceptual housekeeping, I want to propose and demonstrate an alternative approach to research into leisure, or any context really, that is nomothetic. Nomothetic means concerned with the study or discovery of the general laws underlying something. In a nomothetic spirit, we can ask, what are the general informational laws underlying leisure? Since laws is a strong word, I'd rather say, what are the information structures and patterns underlying leisure? I believe we in information science should be able to look across humankind and have a general sense of what's happening in leisure, information-wise. How do we do that? For years, I have proposed to employ a grounded theoretical framework of leisure known as the Serious Leisure Perspective, or SLP for short. Notice as I introduce the SLP that the fabric has turned black, because leisure itself is not the red thread of information. It is the social texture of people's lives. It is a context. The SLP is the life's work of Canadian sociologist Robert Stebbins. It is outlined in his 60-odd books and has been deepened and extended by hundreds of collaborators across the social sciences. What conceptual work does the SLP do? It defines major types and subtypes of leisure, delineates their personal and social benefits, explains the social organization of leisure, relates leisure to non-leisure parts of life, and addresses identity, marginality, flow, and deviance in leisure. Within the SLP are dozens of helpful concepts, like the core activity and serious leisure career, which we'll consider in a moment. Like all social theories, the SLP has geographic and cultural limitations. Because it was inductively generated from studies of leisure in North America, it is not a universal or global theory of leisure, but it is growing in that direction. Next, I will selectively take you through highlights of the SLP, beginning with its typology of leisure. Remember, we are not wearing our red glasses yet. At the very top of the diagram is leisure, and its simplest definition is pleasurable activity undertaken in free time. Underneath that umbrella are at least three types. Casual leisure is relatively short-lived, pleasurable activity requiring little or no special training. It is fundamentally hedonic and engaged in for the pure enjoyment found there. Casual leisure has 8 forms. For example, relaxation might be taking a nap. Sociable conversation is chatting with friends at a party or by phone. Sensory stimulation is having some Scotch whiskey, perhaps followed by a bubble bath, or even better, sex. Often, forms of casual leisure are bundled together. Project-based leisure is a short-term, moderately complicated creative undertaking, and there are 2 kinds. A one-shot leisure project is a singular leisure experience, like throwing an elaborate surprise birthday party for a loved one, or taking a road trip. An occasional, recurring leisure project would be repeated infrequently, such as decorating one's house each holiday season, or planting an herb garden every spring. Serious leisure is an activity so substantial, interesting, and fulfilling that participants find a career in acquiring its special combination of skills, knowledge, and experience. The word serious means this type of leisure is committed and intensive while still being fun. Unlike casual and project-based leisure, serious leisure is organized into social worlds. There are 3 expressions of serious leisure: amateurism, volunteering, and hobbies. Hobbies are the most prevalent, and I'll say more about them in a moment. Due to time constraints, I have not mentioned every type of leisure on the SLP. Let me preempt common misconceptions of this classification system. First, it is more organic and fluid than this formal diagram suggests. Many boxes blend. Second, the typology is descriptive, not judgmental or prescriptive. All forms of leisure are equally important and beneficial to well-being. A final and perpetual misunderstanding is that any leisure activity occurs in just one place on the SLP's typology. Not so. The leisure activity of reading a romance novel or playing a video game can be implemented as casual, project-based, or serious leisure, depending on why and how you do it. As a local example, just recently Dr. Keith Monroe completed a dissertation about information along Scotland's famous scenic journey, the West Highland Way. Dr. Monroe recognized that one can casually walk part of a section, take on the whole route as a once-in-a-lifetime leisure project, or be more committed as a hobbyist who seeks out such ambling adventures around the world over a lifetime. The serious leisure perspective's typology can serve as staging to then put on our red glasses, assume a nomothetic purpose, and deduce general information patterns and structures across leisure. For me, this is a sublime moment when a necessary interdisciplinary excursion to the sociology of leisure comes home to information science. But before we go meta and step conceptually up, from experience I know that some of you don't want to. You'd rather stay right here and contest the SLP's definitions or problematize the blurring boundary between work and leisure, right? This has been the case often when teaching and talking about these ideas. So I am shining a light on it here at COLIS. Perhaps later we can discuss how should we use theories from beyond information science? Should we contest them? Should we tinker with them? Or should we trust them? For the time being, let's trust the SLP and turn our attention to information. We return to casual leisure with scarlet vision. This hedonic activity is not information intensive or information reliant. To enjoy a nap or a bubble bath, you don't need a reference book, an 8-week course, a synopsis from artificial intelligence, or a mentor. In fact, the absence of information is partly what makes casual leisure so spontaneous, restorative, and delicious. Yet, some subtypes of casual leisure, such as sociable conversation, are hotbeds for social media in what Fiona Tinto and Ian Ruthven call sharing happy information. And passive entertainment is the site of much pleasure reading and streaming. From an institutional perspective, libraries have a troubled and checkered history with casual leisure. If we had more time, we could analyze how and why libraries prohibit or embrace different subtypes of casual leisure and whether it's in their long-term best interest. Moving on, the often complicated and steep learning curves within one-shot leisure projects generate strong and immediate information needs. Information here is often how-to or instructional in nature, hence videos may be more effective for learning than print. But this information experience has superficial, temporary, and disposable qualities that expire at the project's end. The internet is an ideal, convenient information utility for one-shot leisure projects, as is the public library. You see, one-shot project enthusiasts are inclined to borrow rather than buy their information. Due to these informational patterns, I believe there is an opportunity for public libraries to brand themselves as one-shot project headquarters. What does the red thread of information in a one-shot project look and feel like? Here is a short, impressionistic multimedia answer. Note how the red thread of information takes shape rapidly, generates intricate forms, and then dissolves. Now, I have a thought question for you about the second type of leisure project that is not one shot, but occasional and recurring. What are the informational consequences when a complex creative undertaking is repeated? Ponder that. Now, unlike casual or project-based leisure, serious leisure is sustained and centered on the acquisition of skill, knowledge, and experience. Therefore, it entails deep and fervent information seeking, It defies our best-known theory of information behavior, the principle of least effort. Serious leisure involves the ongoing monitoring, acquisition, dressing, and curation of information, leading to personal collections on niche topics that surpass library holdings. What is more, many serious leisure devotees are experts in their areas who create, instruct, and publish information too. As already mentioned, serious leisure generates social worlds in the form of clubs or associations which vastly enlarge and animate these information environments. As we step away from this view of casual, project-based, and serious leisure, try to remember their differences and their underlying information structures and patterns. Here's another juicy idea within the SLP. All forms of leisure have a core activity and peripheral or supporting activities. These concepts help us further understand information's role. Let's look at an example of the hobby of alpine skiing. What is the core activity? It is going down the snowy mountainside on the skis. There are peripheral activities of buying ski equipment, coordinating a ski trip with ski friends, après-ski eating and drinking, posting photos of skiing on social media, and more. Altogether, the core and many peripheral activities constitute the hobby of alpine skiing. Putting on red glasses now, we can describe information patterns with much greater precision. We can pinpoint where information resides, the type of information, and its contribution to the whole. In this hobby, the information phenomena of traditional interest to information science occur mainly in the peripheral activities, such as research on ski equipment and sharing skiing stories online. The core activity of alpine skiing, whizzing down the mountain, involves the more emergent concept of embodied information. Interestingly, across the SLP are leisure activities in which the core activity itself is a conventional information activity, practice, or experience. In another example, the hobby of learning a language involves as its core a lot of what Hector calls information unfolding, and its peripheral activities of rewriting and practicing the language are Hector's information dressing. Overall, the SLP's system of core and peripheral activities allows information scientists to determine whether information phenomena are ancillary or central within leisure. Further, it may be worthwhile for us to determine the leisure activities which have information activities at their core. Here I am intentionally stirring things up at Colas. Look at my slides. I didn't place a red thread of information at the center of alpine skiing to represent the embodied information. Should I? I look forward to your objections. Behold, another illuminating concept within the SLP. A distinguishing feature of serious leisure is that it unfolds with a sense of continuity resembling a career. People commit to serious leisure and persevere at it for years, decades, or a lifetime. Empirical research has identified 5 stages to the serious leisure career. I am not yet wearing my red glasses when I say, beginning is when interest takes root. Development is learning basic skills and abilities. Establishment is fully situating the serious leisure within one's life. Maintenance is a heyday. Decline is an eventual end, often due to age or other life circumstances. Putting on red glasses now, the serious leisure career is a continuous information adventure. In the early stages, information seeking is high among eager and striving newcomers as they extract information from the social world and its literature. The later stages of the career are marked by greater information sharing when long-timers function as teachers and experts. Isto Huvila might say that across the serious leisure career, there's a shift from information taking to information making. At the same time, information resources underlie the career and vary from introductory in nature to more specialist and advanced. I have another thought question. How might the information realities of the serious leisure career be relevant to the design of public library collections, public library programs, or leisure-related information systems? Finally, the information meta-theory of domain analysis can be applied to serious leisure, specifically the hobbies, to reveal a host of additional information structures and patterns, including intriguing leisure information epistemologies. As background, domain analysis, sometimes referred to as a socio-cognitive or collectivist meta-theory, is mainly associated with academic disciplines, It holds that information phenomena are shaped by discourses, practices, and subject matter within communities referred to as domains. It follows that academic fields and specialties experience information differently. In domain analysis, epistemology, that is, the nature of knowing, is important. The architect of domain analysis, Birger Hjorland, has named empiricism, rationalism, historicism, and pragmatism as epistemologies shaping academic domains. In the example of chemistry, an empirical epistemology colors its information environment. Please note that casual leisure and project-based leisure are not socially organized in ways that yield to domain analysis, so let's put them aside to focus on hobby social worlds. My working hypothesis is that the 5 hobby classes are domains akin to academic disciplines. Following domain analysis, I propose that different leisure information epistemologies are likewise shaping information phenomena within these social worlds. There's only time for me to sketch these hobby epistemologies in broad strokes. The collecting hobbies revolve around the identification, location, nomenclature, display, organization, and thoughtful exchange of objects. Much like this video, the essence lies in the discerning placement of items into their appropriate categories or boxes. Consequently, the epistemology of collecting is taxonomic. It logically follows that handbooks, catalogs, and databases are of paramount importance. The making and tinkering hobbies encompass a diverse array of crafts and creations and are intrinsically technical. The very act of bringing something into being or mending it necessitates precise and actionable knowledge. Indeed, many such hobbies cultivate their own distinct genres of technical documentation, evident in knitting patterns, recipes, assembly schematics, and sheet music. Activity participation hobbies involve a broad spectrum of non-competitive pursuits such as yoga or ballroom dance. A significant subset of these appreciate nature and are always enjoyed outdoors, such as hiking, foraging, and bird watching. My sense is that these activities engage an environmental epistemology rooted in sensory, situated, and affective information. Consequently, resources like maps and weather forecasts are important, and safety information becomes absolutely critical. These hobbies are a lens to understand the complex interplay of human experience, nature, and information, a pressing concern that rightly merits attention at COLAS. The sports and games hobbies are a complicated hobby category that I would like to split to focus on sports. Sports surely have an embodied epistemology involving motor control, proprioception, kinesthetics, and muscle memory. Therefore, sports may have relatively smaller literatures, but are organized to enable social information flows through coaching, team dynamics, and practice. Due to timing, I must put games aside, but can talk about their epistemology later if you wish. The liberal arts hobbies are centered on studying and appreciating something deeply, whether politics, history, culture, or spirituality. These are the most academic of hobbies that seek a profound understanding in a humanistic tradition. As we approach an end, let's review. Note that the red thread of information and the black fabric that is the social texture of people's lives have come together, and they will continue to do so in countless ways here at the COLAS conference. But first, doctoral students, where are you? Please raise your hands. This review might be especially helpful to you. Come closer. Let me whisper in your ear so that your supervisor does not hear. Put the context of leisure aside and use what follows as a conceptual template. Just keep in mind it's not the only conceptual template of information science. You see, when I was working on my dissertation, as you are now, I was reaching for a coherent narrative that integrated my context of study and information, but it was beyond me for many years. Perhaps what I say next will help to expedite your own conceptual journey as you try to connect the dots. You are the next generation, and we are counting on you to understand complex information realities beyond leisure. So here we go. Over my career and in this keynote, I have argued that leisure is universal, nourishing, quite heterogeneous, and involves information in different ways. Many excellent idiographic case studies have described information in particular leisure activities or communities. A more nomothetic approach demonstrated today reveals information structures and patterns underlying leisure from a higher vantage point. To that end, a theoretical framework of leisure, the serious leisure perspective, can serve as staging, if we are willing to trust it. Then, it follows that spontaneous and delicious casual leisure, episodic and intricate project-based leisure, and sustained and substantial serious leisure have discernible, maybe predictable, information structures and patterns. The core and peripheral distinction within leisure reveals information's central or supporting role. In this way, we can better see where different kinds of information fit. Perhaps we should take a special interest in information-centered manifestations of leisure. The serious leisure career suggests an ongoing informational journey over time with shifting information behaviors and resources. We might design our information institutions and information systems to support movement through the career stages. Socially organized leisure activities, such as serious leisure and its 5 hobby types, conform to domain analytic principles. These hobby social worlds may be characterized as having taxonomic, technical, environmental, embodied, and humanistic epistemologies, among others. These need empirical validation, and there are other hobby epistemologies to discover. All our favorite information phenomena, information behavior, practice, and experience, documents, publications, genres, collections, archives, literatures, metadata, records, classification schemes, and so on, are socially constructed therein. This marks the end of the mainstay of my presentation, but I have an additional afterword. Without it, this keynote would feel incomplete. Afterword, a public-facing information science and INFIDEOS. Studying leisure has opened my eyes to information structures and patterns across everyday life. I have come to believe that information science is relevant to everyone. The latest evolution of my leisure research has been to contribute to a more public-facing information science. By public-facing, I mean translating and softening complex ideas, channeling a more contemporary aesthetic, attracting students, and circulating content through accessible pipelines. To that end, 4 years ago, I taught myself to make videos and launched the YouTube channel INFIDEOS. That word is a portmanteau of information plus videos equals INFIDEOS. INFIDEOS' purpose is to share our meta perspective and the red thread of information with the world. Importantly, all this content is free and leverages YouTube's automatic translation into 100 languages. INFIDEOS now contains well over 100 original and spirited educational videos. Most of my videos begin with a warm welcome, and many are introductory. The most popular video at INFIDEOS is Information Science Road Trip. It's a speedy and fun adventure in a red sports car of 10 foundational concepts. Let's watch the first few seconds, which departs for the journey. Welcome. This video is an Information Science Road Trip. Our destination, 10 of the field's big ideas. Newcomers to information science will be able to reconnoiter and map unexplored territory. Those who have already taken these roads may find the journey to be more nostalgic. We will proceed chronologically and collect souvenirs along the way. That is, great ideas of information science. Let's go. First stop, the document. In the mid to late 80s, if you were making this video, which 10 concepts would you feature? Here's what I ultimately chose. The next most viewed video asks, what is library and information science? The answer is just 5 minutes in length. Let's check out the opening just to get a sense of its style. I'm Professor Jenna Hartel. Welcome to Library and Information Science. Students and newcomers often ask, what is library and information science? In this video, I'll provide the simplest possible explanation and an embodied way to understand and enact library and information science. Let's go. Those two big introductions aside, I usually make videos in series so that viewers experience information science as an interconnected and deep body of work, not a bunch of lone notions. The most popular series at INFIDEOS is What Makes This Paper Great? These are the video thumbnails for 9 of the 12 episodes, each being 12 to 15 minutes in length. I believe a public-facing information science needs to champion its literature and people. Here are glimpses inside these same episodes. You'll see a lot of documents because each video is a guided tour and explication of the papers. The episodes are deep dives and bring their authors to life. When watching, you'll meet Birger Hjorlund, Susan Lee Starr, Michael Buckland, and Carol Kultow, among others. The tiny video series are just 30 seconds in length. They are designed to immediately arouse curiosity and emotional resonance. Here are 12 of the more than 30 episodes. Tiny videos are essentially advertisements. All fantastic products have advertisements, so why not information science? The tiny format is meant for mobile viewing, circulation across social media, and sharing with curious family and friends. You can also insert them into your lectures. Let's see just one. Don't mind my jumpy avatar. She's excited about the information science workout series. Here are its thumbnails. Each short video presents ways to grasp concepts like information or information behavior by moving your body. Yes, this turns information science into a casual leisure form of pleasurable aerobic activity. Prepare to bend, reach, and stretch to engage information science. I'm about 1 minute from finishing now. We are on the home stretch. A final way to be public-facing is to relate information science to themes in popular culture, like nature and animals. Yes, that bird on the lower left is berry picking, and on the lower right, the antelope is leaping over information structures. INFIDEOS is a proud sponsor of Nilüfer Solcu's vision for a multi-species information science, which is also on the COLAS program. What is more, INFIDEOS is playful and musical, just like leisure. Yes, you can dance to information science. Am I saying that John Lennon, Kermit the Frog, and Elvis were information scientists? Well, you'll have to go watch these videos to find out. Other public-facing and universal themes at INFIDEOS are love and beauty, which are natural extensions of the joy at the heart of leisure. This theme reflects my feelings for information science. My apologies for the potentially overstimulating conclusion. I could not resist sharing the multimedia, public-facing culmination of my leisure information project, the YouTube channel INFIDEOS. Thank you for your attention. You'll find links to my presentation and related resources at the very top of the news page of my personal website. I trust we'll return to issues raised earlier in the continuous red thread of information, and here's the summary slide as needed. Thank you for your attention. I wish everyone a great COLAS and am on standby for your questions and comments.